So that's why I'm a little bit late today. Apologies. And as you can see from my super bag obits, we are back in the land of the legionary, the country of Caesar. We are going to crack on with some more Italians. Now, I've been looking at my copy of Funkin. Where are we? Here we are. Yeah. So I've been looking at my copy, and sorry, I'm just trying to sort my laptop out so I can see any comments. Let me turn off my own voice. There we go. Right, so there's only one person watching, and it's me, so that's good. But I've been looking at my Funkin. Look at that, £3.95. What an absolute bargain! And I've got my Italian. Look at those Saxon. Are these Saxons? Yeah, Sax Gotha. Oh, gorgeous, absolutely fantastic. We've got here some Naples. I might do some Naples at some point. As cack as they are, they've got nice uniforms. So we've got the Kingdom of Italy here. Here we go. Hello, Paul. Nice to see you, buddy. And we've got there's a lot of guard here. In fact, they're all guard. So I'm trying to stay off the guard at the moment. Here we are. Here's a Fusilier, 4th Regiment of the Line. So let's start with those guys because they're here. So we can see he's got a red plastron. I rediscovered that was called today. He's got a red collar and he's got red cuffs. So he should be fairly easy to do. I've also been checking Blunder on the Danube, which is where I get quite a bit of information from. It's an excellent resource. Would highly recommend. And there's also a good page on the Kingdom of Italy brackets Napoleonic. There's a good picture there as well, which gives you all the uniforms of the Kingdom of Italy. So that's definitely worth having as well. It's a French thing, so it's definitely good. Hello, Dario. Nice. Well, I'm not. I wouldn't quite get that far, but that is to say live. I'm not. I'm still pretty tired. I was checking right now some Osprey books or books on Napoleonic uniform. The Osprey books are excellent, very specific, but they are very, very good. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a company. So I'm going to get together a company's worth of troops. Now, those of you who haven't seen, you can, if I lower the camera a little bit, you might be able to see. I've done some with the wash. Some haven't had the wash. He's got a Shako cords. This guy doesn't. So that's not necessarily too much of a problem. I'm not so worried about that. But let me get the guys who've been who've had L wash. I've got lots of grenadiers who've had it. But I'm looking for some line troopers. Let's see. As you can see, as always, brilliantly prepared. There is no professionalism to which I will stoop. Now, a lot of these are voltigeurs or light infantry. So here we go, and then I'll have a 6th. Come on, I gotta have a 6th one. Here we are. So there we go. So I've got 2 that I've already done with the apothecary white, and 4 that I haven't. So first things first, let's crack out the apothecary white. Here's when I find that I didn't bring it up with me. That would be standard. Oh no, I did. Oh, get me. Good morning, Gruesome Dread. These are not Perry miniatures, Dario. These are prints from Piano Miniatures. This is their 1809 French that they did. I kind of convinced myself I needed an 1809 French army by pretending that was going to be my Italian army. So that's how I justified it to myself. Got yourself some hat Austrians, €10, 50 guys. I mean, you can't knock it, can you? Really? I'm just looking around. I've got some hat 7 Years War Austrians. These are fancy Austrians. These ones. So, still no good, but at least At least they're Austrians. So their 7 Years' War Austrians are actually quite a nice range. They do. I'm still lamenting the loss of Zvezda. I can understand it, but man, they were nice minis. Maybe one day. So I'm just slapping this on. Because they're Italians, they're going to have white coats. Most of the coat is going to be white across the front as well, and they're going to have white trousers. I've decided to do them in summer dress because I hate myself. So there you go. He's actually got a little hunting horn on the back, so he should be light infantry. But he ain't going to be, because his plume is clearly snapped off while I was, or just not printed while I was printing him. So he can take his place in the line. Yeah, Zvezda, I mean, obviously, I can understand why people don't stock them and that, you know, things like that. But yeah, they do some nice minis. Ah, well. Sonic Sledge talks about piano. Yeah, he's a fan of the channel. He's a regular. He sometimes rocks up here. He's just working on his next Kickstarter, and I have to say, it's an auto buy-in for me. Joking aside, it's they're just so nice. I don't think there's any minis that can match his quality. I think the Perrys come close. I actually think because they're printed rather than manufactured, I actually think they're better than the Perrys. What heresy is this? But yes, he does do metals as well. I've not seen the metals. I might buy some actually, just so I can review them on the channel. Maybe a character set or something like that. Hello, Glenn. I've already said hello to Gruesome Dread, but I'll say hello again. Good morning, Gruesome Dread. Luke's here as well. Hello, Luke. Nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, apologies for the late start. When you go live, for some reason now, it didn't always used to do this, but it has recently started. It automatically sets it as like restricted or something it's called. So it's not even that it's like members only. It's just that no one can see it. And I sort of look in the chat, and then when I see that no one's turned up after 2 or 3 minutes, that's the only way that I know I've not changed the settings. So yeah, it's a little bit annoying. So sorry about that, guys. Hard to imagine any better even in metal. Yeah, absolutely. So found loads of Zvezda stuff. Oh mate, honestly, I'd have gone absolutely ballisto if I was there. Certainly all the samurai, I'd have had all them. If I buy it for the channel, I can write it off for tax losses against a million YouTubers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not this YouTuber, unfortunately. So good evening, Michael. So those of you who haven't seen the video on Sunday, firstly, you're dead to me. Why not? But no. Secondly, more importantly, those of you who haven't seen it, from Under Eagles to Glory has been confirmed for February the 28th and March the 1st next year. So that's Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 1st. That is going to be similar to how it's been before. I like to change some things, but try and keep most of it the same, because then people know what to expect then, and it's not I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel, and I don't really want to reinvent the wheel. Now, if you excuse me, I was looking for a dry brush. Let me see. Well, you do, you'll do. Now, I did have some tissue for this very reason, but I don't know what I've done with it. So I use my painting shirt. I also saw Airfix Waterloo minis on eBay pretty cheap. Yeah, because a lot of people started out with them. You can still pick them up fairly cheap. So yeah. I think 20. I think 20 mil is great. I think it's a bit of an underrated scale because I think people sort of consider it a bit passe, and I think that's a shame because I still think they're very nice today. Particularly stuff like Airfix Highlanders with like the kneeling guys and things like that. All right, are they better than say Hatl or Zvezda? Probably not, but they're still well. I mean, Zvezda don't do Brits, but they're still pretty nice. Yeah, why not, mate? I'd absolutely go for it. Particularly the Le Haisson set as well. If you can find that, then that's really good. So just a quick dry brush. I'm not. I've decided that because this army is going to be like an event army, I'm not going to go absolutely hog wild on these guys. Do all of the details and things like that. This is very much going to be a tabletop standard, which is useful because even when I paint to my absolute super mega top standard, it barely even registers as tabletop standard. So that's that's super helpful. You're working on your Austrians for a campaign you're buddy signed in October. That's what I like to hear. Some Kaiserlichs. I've just printed off some epic scale Austrians. Actually, I was hoping to show them off on the channel here tonight, but I think I'll save them for next week. So yeah, I'm not going Golden Demon on these, I'm afraid, guys. The watchword here is get them painted. So Lucas, apologies, I am not doing your minis the justice they deserve. But these are just line infantry. I shall do more. I shall put more effort into the command and the characters. These are just Fusiliers. That's two there. Now, how dry is this? He's not very dry. He's the last one I did, I think. Now, how dry is he? That's the only way to find out, isn't there? So, what are other people working on? We got some Austrians. What are good rules for them beside Clash of Eagles? Well, we had a quick look through. Oh, they've got epaulets on as well. No, that'll be right. We had a quick look through Valor and Fortitude before the summer break, and they looked pretty good actually. They looked interesting. So it's Valor and Fortitude. General de Brigade, I'm told, are very good by the Lardies. Lardies seem to have. They're a bit like the Apple of Wargaming. They seem to have like a really hardcore band of fanatics that like them. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that their games aren't any good. It just means that the people who like them really, really, really like them. So, yeah, I hear that's good. Another game system would be Soldiers of Napoleon. I'm going to look at that in the run-up to Christmas. I'm trying to think. Absolute Emperor is another possible one from Osprey. Now, I've not heard a load of good things about that. So I wouldn't want to push that on you, but it's an Osprey rule set. I think it's about 10 quid, so it might be worth picking up to have a look at. So that's another one. So yeah, those are the big three at the moment. Blucher I would always go back to, but that's very hard to get hold of and better for smaller scales, I think. Although last time I played it, someone used 4 figures per battalion. They just put the figures on top of the card, and it looked. I mean, it looked cool. It looks a bit like a ball game, but that's not too bad. 6 mil high. Yeah, there's that. Especially when you put like extra large tufts in front of them on the bases. Currently painting 1st Battalion, 1st Guard Grenadiers. By God, sir, that's what I like to hear. Oh, I can feel the patriotism swelling in me. In fact, some of you are English, or British, so you'll know this. Some of you aren't. We've had a bit of a spate of people putting up St. George's crosses recently, and where we are in Sheffield, it's it used to be called the Socialist Republic of South Yorkshire. So it's not the world's most patriotic place for most people. However, I came down to get the tram this morning, and the lampposts of Hillsborough were decorated with Union Jacks and St George's crosses. So it was a beautiful sight to see. I forgot to check on the way home that they were still up there, because if they're not, I'm gonna have to buy some myself, aren't I? Which I'd rather not. But yes, so yes, the patriotism was on full display this morning, which made my journey to work a little bit better. Of course, it would have been better if it were the lozenge flag of the 1804 pattern French infantry, but you can't you can't have everything, can you? You got to take the wins where you find them, I suppose. I saw a question about my. Oh right, for Austrians. Well, I mean they'll be in Valor and Fortitude as well. I didn't look at those specifically, but I'm sure they'll be in there. Spanish Knight for Eagles to Glory 3. The Regiment Real de Zaporores y Miradore. That's what we like to hear, man. Are you? The real question is: are you going to do the Real Company Islandesa? Yes, no. I was always planning on coming today. The family matters that I've had was my dad had an operation a few weeks ago now, and I've just been sort of waiting on him hand and foot. He had a knee replacement. So he's actually recovered really well. He's doing very, very well. So he's up and about. So I scurried up here to do some painting. And now I'm scrolling up because I saw a question which I thought was a good one by Michael White. I said my brother isn't great at wargaming. Are you teaching him? Well, I am spanking his bottom on a frequent basis. So I only say that because he's probably watching. It's difficult because I don't want to say this is how I wargame. I think it's important for someone who's starting out at wargaming, and it's not that he's not good; it's that he's not experienced, and I think that's a crucial difference, to be honest. So I take for example, we had a game of Bolt Action on Friday. Now that's the game that he wants to play, so I'm more than happy to throw some World War II down. So we were playing Bolt Action, and I took my Soviet army for their first ever game, and he took his Germans. Now he changed his list up, so he had less vehicles, more infantry, and it was a much beefier list than his previous one. Much better list, I think. Now the problem was, because I'm just got more experience at wargaming, the tactic. So the mission we rolled was there's a counter in the middle of the board. You have to run up to it, pick it up, and then get it off your own board edge. Now, because I'm experienced, I sort of figured out fairly early on that one of the best things to do was to just run forward with my entire army, make sure that he split his fire amongst the different squads, and then my storm squad, the girls with the submachine guns, picked up the relic and just ran off the table. So, as I say, it's not that he's not good; it's that he's not quite as experienced as me. And, obviously I was able to make sure that he had such a plethora of targets that he had the old analysis paralysis, and and unfortunately he split his fire between the squads, and it meant I was able to get away with the objective and win the game. So suddenly he seems quite. I don't know if anyone else has found this, if they're teaching war games to people, but he seems very reluctant to sacrifice his men. Now, admittedly, it's kind of on brand for the Soviets, isn't it? But he seems very reluctant to swap, say, a squad of troops for a tactical position, and I think that's causing him to hold back a little bit too much. So there's that as well. But I mean, but again, there's nothing wrong with being a defensive player. So I don't know. But hopefully he's learning. And hopefully he's gaining the experience that'll turn him into a more rounded player, shall we say. But I mean, the main thing is, I think he enjoyed it. He enjoys getting his models out on the table. The thing that I will say is, I may be a more experienced gamer than him, but he is a far, far better painter than I will ever be. And getting them out on the table, it's a pleasure to play against his army, because it is absolutely beautifully painted. I'm pretty partial to Et Sans resultant for small scales. Now, are you unsure historian? Are you in America? Because I saw that when I was over at Adepticon, and I have not seen it since in the UK, because I would buy it if I saw it. I had a good chat with the guy who writes the rules, but I just haven't seen them over here. So yeah, let me know if anyone else has seen them here in the UK, because if so, I'll pick them up. He was playing it in 50mm. It looked absolutely fantastic. Currently painting some new Wargames Atlantic 1775 British Grenadiers. They're great models and very tall. Well, I mean, they're Grenadiers. I should hope so. There was a regiment in the First World War. I think they were Welsh. They were called the Bantams. That was their nickname, which is like a small chicken. And they were all absolutely tiny, and they were used for mining. Because they were so small, they didn't have to mine as much as like a big guy would. So here, I'm just, anyone who's seen me painting models will know, I always re-undercoat flesh with a bone. So wraith bone is the colour I'm using today. I'll always try and use wraith bone, but if I've not got it to hand, I'll use like Ushabti bone or whatever the other one is. And the idea there is just to, if you do the flesh contrast paint over white, then they look almost undead. So we try and avoid that. Now I'm looking at this guy, and the more I look at him, the less convincing he's going to be as a Fusilier, because he's also got a moustache as well. So I may end up having to paint him as a light company guy. He's still for a line battalion. He'll be a, I think they were called V-Lights, weren't they? The Italian light companies. So this isn't actually going to be a coherent company, but yeah, it's 6 guys, it'll do. Twilight of the Emperor. Okay, I've not seen that one. Problem, I've seen the rules, but I don't know anything about them. The problem is, I always think it's Twilight Empire, which is a science fiction game. So, I mean, that's because I'm old and easily confused. Yes, I'm American. As I say, I've not seen them, but that doesn't mean that they're not out there. I'd hate to say no, there definitely isn't, because I don't know, to be honest. You thought I loved against playing defensive shield wall armies? Well, absolutely, yeah. It's a no, it's a difficult skill to learn, isn't it? I think you know when to be aggressive and when to be defensive, and I think that's why someone like Napoleon could, or even Wellington for that matter. Well, I mean, Wellington's seen as a defensive general, but he won plenty of battles where he went on the front foot. Salamanca probably being, or Talavera, Asai, Vittoria. They're just battles off the top of my head. I mean, we're not even including the sieges in that, where Wellington was a lot more aggressive than he was defensive. Obviously, he's famous one, Waterloo, and I mean, Waterloo is really a delaying action. And what's the other one? Like Fuentes de Honoro, he was obviously a lot more defensive there as well. Absolutely, really Islandese. Fantastic. One's the Lord Kylie figure, but I haven't found one yet. I'm not. Well, there is a manufacturer. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. I'm certain someone will know in the chat. Who has got the rights to do sharp figures? I'm not sure who it is. I think it might be Wargames Atlantic, but that's a bit of a guess. So when they come out, the production of Lord of the Sharp is going to go absolutely off the chain. Yes, that's what I was looking at, Unsure Historian. The campaign books looked absolutely incredible, but unfortunately, I didn't have room in my case for them at the time. So I thought, I'll pick them up when I get back. And lo and behold, I can't find anywhere that distributes them. Maybe if I come to Historicon 26, maybe I'll pick them up then. I'm thinking genuinely thinking I might come to. It is Wargames Atlantic. I thought it was. I'm genuinely thinking I might come to Historicon next year because I quite fancy going to Cuba. And going to America after you've been to Cuba is an absolute nightmare. So I'm thinking I might go to America first, and then go to Cuba afterwards. Yeah, you got to get a full visa if you go to Cuba, which is ridiculous. But never mind. Planning to go to one this November. Is that a Historicon? Gruesome Dread, of course you can, buddy. You don't need to ask. Just chuck it in there. And if I don't see it, then shout at me or super chat it. There you go. That's another way you can make sure I see it. So where are we? Let me just refresh. Now it's actually the light on the table's not too bad, but the light outside really is fading fast. What's my favourite division from the coalition and from the French sides? Oh, right, okay. What? Ooh. For the coalition, I'm assuming that we ask Alex for those books. Everyone in the hobby gives you free. Yeah, I think I should do. Yeah. Well, he hobnobs a lot more than me, doesn't he? So I saw him at the Joy of Six, and he was hobnobbing away. So you know what? Fair play to him. I can't fault the guy. My favourite brigade. Now, if we're talking coalition, if we are including Britain in that, then it's got to be the 3rd Division. The Fighting Irish, sorry, not the Fighting Irish, the Fighting Third. I mean, it's got to be. There's got the Kings in there. You've got the Jocks in there. Yeah, it's got to be. No question in my mind. It's got to be. It's got to be. So that's Fall In, which is run by them, and that's November. Okay, that might be more plausible for me to get to next year. Give me longer to save up, and it's also my birthday at the start of November as well. So there's that as well. So yeah, so for the British, I would say, well, the coalition, I would say the 3rd Division. So that was the one that was led by Picton. And then for the French, I mean, well, the obvious one is something like the Guard, but that's a bit boring. I don't necessarily want to go with Guard. I don't know, because like the European armies, the divisions weren't as characterful, I don't think, as the British ones. I guess if I went for a brigade, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go for a brigade. I'm going to go with the Infernal Brigade. So the 3rd and 7th Hussars, and was it the 11th Chasseurs, I think? Yeah, I think I'm going to go with them because they had LaSalle at their head. Although, I mean, sneaky sort of down low. I really like the Dragoons. I just think Dragoons are cool, particularly French Dragoons. They have cabbage fields lying in amber. You know what, mate? You never know. You never know when you might come across a cabbage field and disappear. You see, General Dan, he talks about the cabbage field. He doesn't talk about the amount of whinging that he was doing as we were going through it. I will say one thing, though, is it was obviously spider season, because when I got back to the hotel room, my trousers were absolutely covered in spider webs. So, yeah. But no, you were doing a lot of moaning. Oh, it's too far to walk. And I'm like, you're like a professional athlete. I'm a big fat gopper. I can do it. So, yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have the stamina. That's the problem. He's not... He's not like a dwarf. He's like an elf. See, we're natural sprinters. So, Philip, I November. Well, I don't know, mate. Yeah. Yeah, Dan is definitely the Legolas of the group. I mean, he's also like ruthlessly efficient as well. So that's it. So I'm like a god. Yeah, no, it was pretty extreme. I'm not gonna lie. But no, I would I was thinking about the Waterloo trip today actually, and I really would recommend it to anyone who wants to really understand the battle. I think it's such a certainly like the distances. I know I kept going on about it on the video, but to really truly understand the battle, I think you can do a lot worse than actually walking the fields and the roads and things like that. And a good thing as well is it's not been too commercialized. It is a little bit. So it's got just about the right amount of sort of visitor center that you would like. And I would recommend the Chinese tea with honey as well. That was really nice. Yorkshire stubbornness to admit we, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, what no one knew is I had tea. I had Yorkshire tea, Tetley's, waiting for me back in the hotel room. So I just, I just had to get back to the tea. That's what was calling me forward. The Infernal Brigade may be my next French cavalry I get. It's certainly going to be. I've got a box of epic, of the epic scale light cavalry brigade, and they're going to be painted up as the Infernal Brigade. Did I try the Waterloo beer while I was there? Yes, I did, Paper Peltas. That's why we went through the cabbage field. Because I had perhaps tried too much of the Waterloo beer while I was there. Give me a £60 backpack and some webbing. Absolutely. Although if I was wearing one of those, I might not have been able to get back up again. So it's probably a good job I wasn't. And the link and the water bombs. The water bombs? The link and the mortar bombs as well. We'll give them those. Where are we? Right, so it is now just gone 6:30, or just past 6:30. So we've got tons of time. This is good. This is really good. I've got most of the base coats down. I've dry brushed them. I'm not going to do much more white on that. I might go and pick out bits later. But at the moment, I think we're pretty much good to go. I'm going to do the facings now. Now, looking on the Google bot, they look fairly red. So I'm not sure whether to go for the corn red, which is like a darker burgundy red, or Blood Angel. Let's go with flesh terrors. Sorry, not corn red, flesh terrors. Let's go with that because it's a little bit darker, so it's a little. It'll stand out if I do the pom poms and the Shaco cords and all that stuff. If I do those red. Paul, the guys are asking about if I'm being fair to you, teaching you wargaming, to which I said no. So that's basically what you missed. I was just bullying you. I didn't know that Wellington. Well, I mean, of course, Wellington had to position itself next to the visitor centre. Otherwise, no one would know where to go, would they? Now, one of the things I really liked about the visitor centre actually is, so it's a bit weird. It's kind of sunk into the ground. It's a bit odd that. But I mean, it's cool, but it's a bit weird. So you have to go down these stairs, and you're in like a imagine like a subway, like as in like under the ground, not a sandwich shop. But there's no roof, so it's open to the sky. And on one of the subway walls, it's all glass, and that's the visitor centre. On the other side, it's like a grey sort of marbly style effect, but etched into it is the order of battle for Waterloo. So it's all of the divisions and brigades and everything for the three armies, for the French, the British, and the Prussians. That was really cool. I really liked that. It didn't have the numbers, which was a bit of a shame. But I mean, you can't have everything. No, that was really cool. I really like that. A good addition. I felt. So let's get this guy's collar done. You made the mistake of listening to a getting started while painting. Oh dear, no, that is fatal. Which one was it? What's the next army that that you've already priced up? I'm just going to do this. Now, as I said earlier on, this is going to be an army that's painted to tabletop standard. So I'm going to try my best. I'm not going to just slap the paint around. But I'm also not going to sweat the small stuff either. So let's get that done up here. I saw earlier on as well, sorry, I did see the comment, and I meant to come back to it, and I haven't, so I'll come back to it now, that someone's painting Russians and Swedes for Black Seas. That's super cool, man. I really like the Russian fleet. The way that Warlord have painted them, I think it looks super, super cool. And the sort of Russian-Swedish naval war is something I don't know much about, but it's certainly something that I'd like to know more about. It certainly piqued my interest when I read that it was the the largest naval battle of all time when it took place. So, which I assume was like with a lot of gunboats, certainly from the Swedish perspective. Now, I said I wasn't going to sweat the small stuff, but just tidy that up there. I think he's looking pretty swish, actually. I quite like him. The big I saw was the dining UFO. Yeah, absolutely. So, what was the song they kept playing while it was there? It was something like Mamma Mia or something, wasn't it? Last time I was there, Professor Tony Pollard gave us a talk about the battlefield archaeology his group did on Culloden. Well, the last time you were at Waterloo, you were talking about the battlefield archaeology he did in Culloden. Okay, okay, yeah, fair enough. I'd have thought you were talking about what he did at Waterloo, but never mind. First, I'd like to complete the underway project of the 3rd Division. Yeah, I think that sounds like a wise policy. That's certainly going to be when I get around to my epic Brits. The 3rd Division is going to be the start of them. Well, I can't believe I'm doing a Waterloo army. I'm turning into a normie. I don't know what's going on. My normal hipster, yes, I'm going to do Americans or something like that is not quite there. You've blocked it forever. Yeah, that's a wise policy. But yeah, I'm also thinking about a sneaky trip to Paris as well, popping into Les Invalides. But in order to get to Paris, I need to go to London first, and I don't really want to get stabbed, so I'm thinking I might not do that, because then Paris is not much better either. Although I've not been to the cemetery with like Jim Morrison and stuff like that, so I quite fancy going to that. I went to Highgate last year, so the one in Paris would be a good counterpoint. I'm really getting to my goth side at the moment. It would appear. I remember your video on why water is bad for the hobby. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got a lot of pushback for that one actually. I mean, I don't know. People seem to take it very personally. Certainly, researching the Prussian role in the 100 Days campaign has given me a much rounder understanding of the Battle of Waterloo, actually, and I think that can only be a good thing, really, can't it? So, this is the downside of painting white figures: is you've got to be very neat with them. Oh, bit too much paint on there. As I say, if that runs everywhere, then this figure may end up in the bin if that happened. And we wouldn't want that. The alternative Waterloo then, Tim, from the battle from Grouchy's perspective. Yeah, possibly. I remember I bought a naval game from Spartan Miniatures, which I would like to say were dearly departed, but they had all turned out to be absolute scum. So, no, not so much. And if that sounds harsh, they stole over £1 million from Kickstarter subscribers. So I stand by it. But they did an alternative Victorian setting, and they had a Battle of Waterloo in their setting, but it was the British were it was the British and the Prussians. No, sorry, no, it was the British and the French versus the Prussians. So the Prussians were where the French were, the British were the French, and the French were the Prussians. So yeah, that was quite an interesting little historical tidbit. I can't believe I was as nervous as you were painting that red. Yeah, absolutely. No, we're all good. We're all good. It's all. It's all about the what's the word? The impressionism of doing the cuffs. I'm doing these before I do the flesh, just because if I do go over on the hands, I can cover that with flesh. So that's why I'm doing this first. And also here on like the cartridge pouch is exactly the same thing, because that's going to be black. That's going to cover the red very easily. Yeah, Dystopian Wars was the game, and they had some absolutely gorgeous ships. I think I told the story about the Ottoman fleet I bought from Australia, and how it ended up costing me many hundreds of pounds. And it's still never come out of the box because I'm too scared to get it out of the box. I haven't spent that amount of money on it. Why can't it be the weekend? Oh, I hear you there, man. I hear you there. Fortunately, Thursday night is club night for me, so tomorrow night I'll be rolling them bones. Someone commented on the video we had of the cavalry battle the other day, and it took me back to when I managed to roll sixes. It was a nice feeling for a while. I've just gone a little bit onto his strap there. That's a bit annoying. Oh, nice. That's cool, Gruesome. Where's that happening, buddy? Sounds like you got a stacked weekend planned. If only you had some Waterloo beer of bravery. Michael Bennington's Potty Time Waterloo. Okay, I don't know that one. I read when I was in Egypt. I read a Waterloo where there were dinosaurs. It was absolutely appalling. I was like, how could a novel that's got dinosaurs in it and the Battle of Waterloo be as bad as this? And it was shocking. It was awful. I couldn't believe. I was angry with how bad it was. Our town club's full of it. Oh, fantastic. Normal performance shall resume. Sorry, yeah, absolutely, you will, Dan. Yeah. As all the sixes I think I'm ever gonna roll are all in that one game. So, yes. Yeah, no, it's oh, hang on, we're going there. Russian-Swedish War saw the Battle of Svenskund with over 500. That's their badger. There were quite a few galley Zebeks and gunboats. The Russians heavily outgunned the Swedes. Just Zebek is it's just an awesome word. But yes, no, again, it looks like an interesting battle. a little bit like, well, no, not like, sort of the opposite of the Battle of the Nile, where was it the Swedes, I think, were pushed back against the coast, similar to the Battle of Copenhagen. Yeah, no, it seemed like an interesting one. So don't tell Ridley Scott about that novel. Yeah, no, apparently he's announced Gladiator 3, and there's been something like a 400,000 signed petition to tell him to stop, which is excellent. I think I like that. I must confess, I haven't seen Gladiator 2, so I can't pass comment on it. But having seen the trailers, I did not fancy it. I decided to rewatch Spartacus: Blood and Sand instead, which I still maintain is the best thing about ancient Rome ever made. You keep your HBO's Rome. I want me some Lucy Lawless and muscled New Zealand bodybuilders. That's what I'm talking about. I don't talk about ancient Rome. That's what I'm talking about. German tanks versus the Young Guard at Plassenoir is what Michael Bentini. Fair enough. Fair enough. That I mean, the Prussians like absolutely owned in Plassenoir anyway. I'm not sure what they need the Panzers for. Although Dan Carlin keeps going on about having if we had corn juggernauts in Gladiator 2, Nurgle himself, yeah. If Dan Carlin keeps going on about Alexander's Macedonians fighting at Waterloo, doesn't he? Alexander's Macedonians. Which I have to say, I admire his enthusiasm on that topic, but there is absolutely no way that Alexander the Great would win the Battle of Waterloo instead of Napoleon. I mean, just no way. I'm sorry, but no. I mean, imagine one of those phalanxes against Bull's troop of artillery. By phalanx. So yes, no, this is very silly. Have I managed to play Valor and Fortune? I have not, but I must confess, I also fancy it for Franco-Prussian War, and I am one step closer because I have built a French command group. So there you go. So no, I'm not, I'm afraid. So my autumn painting project, in addition to the Italians, is either my Vikings or my Victorians. So I'm not quite sure who I'm going to do yet. I've decided, having built this French command group, that they're not going to be the baddies for my Victorian campaign. It is going to be the Prussians. The Prussians just look better as baddies than the French do, I think. So yeah, no, it's going to be the Prussians and the Bavarians because I've got the files for them. But mostly Prussians. But no, I haven't managed to have a game. But to be honest, I've not had a game of anything in quite a while. I've not been down the club for quite a few weeks. And the last time I was showing someone Warmaster, which was absolutely awesome. I absolutely love Warmaster. So I was showing someone that. But no, I've not had a chance to play Valor and Fortitude yet. I promise I will do, though. I promise I will. There is a new Franco-Prussian rule set being written for Osprey. Okay, the author already... Yes, there is. I've had it on pre-order for like a year. Bismarck's War, it's called, isn't it? And I'm not sure what's happening to it. But yes, I ordered it as soon as I heard about it from Amazon. And it still hasn't come out. So, yes, I am aware of that. It's... yes, I'll get it eventually, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Bezos is able to fund his space program with the interest on my 1099 that I sent him. I don't know. Shocking. Pressing have better moustaches. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, they've got the moustaches. They've got skulls on their the front of their shakos. Well, the Death's Head as ours do. So, as we know, that makes them the baddies. So, How many batteries of guns did the old guard have? Are we talking at Waterloo, or are we talking another time? The batteries of the guard will be used slightly different from how they might be in other times, because they would almost invariably form the basis of the grand battery. So they weren't sort of employed in at its greatest extent, so probably before Russia. I don't know, to be honest. Let me see. I don't know. If anyone in the chat knows, then pop it in there. I'm just looking around to see if I've got any anything that might have it in. I'll tell you what I've got. I've got my copy of Osprey Campaign Aspern Essling over there. So I'll grab that and we'll see what that says. So bear with me. Sorry about it, I've just seen it. In fact, I've not got my copy of Aspern Essling. I've got both my copies of Aspern Essling up here. So I was really sling everything into a box. Right, let's have a look. Guard, artillery. Let's have a look. So it's not on here. It is near mentioned there. Let me. That's Vagram. Let's check Aspern. French and Allies. So eight guns. It says there. What did it say for? Yeah, so he had 60 guns in the Imperial Guard there. So that would be what, 10 batteries if it's 60 guns, maybe less. No, yeah, I'd probably say 10 batteries. 10 batteries are 6. So yeah, 26 batteries later on. I guess that would include the middle and young guard as well. So that would probably make sense. Yeah. I'm reading Stenhal and actually enjoyed it this time. I didn't know he fought in Russia. No, fair enough. There you go. I would say 3 foot and 1 horse. If you're doing an Imperial Guard army, that's probably a decent amount to have. Any more than that might get a little oppressive, and a bit less than that, and you might find yourself outgunned by people you shouldn't be outgunned by like the British or something like that. So I would suggest that sounds a reasonable one. If it says 10, that might include middle guard or young guard as well. Do I think Napoleon lost his confidence after Wagram? No, I don't actually. To be honest, I don't think Napoleon lost his confidence at all. And I think that was one of his big problems. I think Napoleon kept his self-belief right up to the end. To the end, like when he was on St. Helena. And I think that's what makes someone like Napoleon. Yeah, no, I don't think he did. His generals certainly began to lose the faith. I think when you look at people like Massena, or certainly after the Russian campaign, Ney was like a shadow of his former self. So no, I don't think he did. I think the death of Lannes was a big blow to him. But no, I think for me, I think Napoleon probably kept his self-confidence a little bit too long. If you look at these campaigns of 1813 and 14, which are not really talked about that much, he pulled off some absolutely fantastic maneuvers there, some quick assaults and things like that, and he was still changing up his tactics. You know, things like integrating the guard into his line brigades and things like that in 1814 still. So no, I think I think he kept his confidence and his skill. I just think again those around him were dropping off. You know, people were either leaving him completely, like Bernadotte, or they were soft quitting. I think it's called these days, isn't it? People like Murat. I'm not convinced Murat was a good general at all, to be honest. And I'm certainly not convinced after Russia that he put in particularly good shift anywhere, to be honest. Yeah, 1814. It's a weird thing. 1814. It's a little bit like 1918. I find, you know, the Kaiserschlacht was an absolutely massive battle, and you know, hundreds of thousands of casualties. But we never really hear about it in this country, anyway. In this country, sort of some Passchendaele, and then after Passchendaele, oh yeah, that's like, yeah, there was a German counterattack, and then that was the end of the war. And so, well, I think Operation Michael is a bit more a bit more important than that, but it always gets pushed over. And I think 1814, very similarly. And now I'll be honest with you, I was very guilty of that. I was very much the sort of, well, you had Russia, and then you had some stuff after Russia, and then you had Waterloo. So coming into doing the channel, it certainly forced me to broaden my horizon, my knowledge, and yeah, definitely expanded my my understanding. Yeah, 1814, I think, had some absolutely fantastic maneuvers by l'Empereur, as you say, David. Doomed, but yeah, well, I think so. I mean, I'm a big fan of Eugene. He's one of my many man crushers. But yeah, I mean, he took over the army of Italy, 1814, and fought the Austrians off. He actually did a lot better than most of his marshals did. But you know, it just I mean, Napoleon was certainly a flawed man, wasn't he? And I think sometimes he couldn't see the wood for the trees, shall we say. Right, and that is, having done the final set of cuffs, we got 6 dudes. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to do loads on them over the week, but I'm almost certainly not. So we'll pick this up next week. Those guys will have their flesh done, their shakos, boots, and the what they call cartridge pouches, and then we will move on to the next 6. But thank you very much for joining me as we've started the Italian line infantry. We're getting there, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. There is a video on Saturday. We're going to be looking at the Under Eagles to Glory pack, some of the changes I've made in there, and some I'd like to get some feedback on what people want from certainly Under Eagles to Glory, and if they've got any ideas for To the Sound of the Guns. But thank you very much, guys. I hope to see you next time. Have a good evening, and I'll see you guys later.